so welcome everyone to our lunch break webinar. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you. I just want to thank the OU, particularly Hannah Farkas for putting this all together, and for Alex Cook for handling all the technical stuff and all my questions about how am I going to get on and everything like that. So thank you. I also want to thank Deborah Katz from chalacrumbs.com. I'm so excited to be working with her again. So even though we barely have spoken into each other, but it's always great to be working with her, and you have to check out her well, she's going to be on right after me. You're going to have to check out her fabulous website, chalacrumbs.com. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Adina Soclof, and I'm the Director of Parent Outreach for A+ Solutions, which is a psychological and educational company in Cleveland, Ohio, where I live. I also run ParentingSimply.com, which is a great website that has a lot of parenting tips and great advice. And I'm also run SimplyJewishParenting.com and the A+ Solutions website as well. Okay. Oh, I also run lots of webinars and parenting workshops, and there's a lot going on in my professional life. Personally, I'm married and I have 4 kids. So I have 3 kids who are turning. I have 3 April birthdays. So 3 of my children are turning 18, 16, and then 11, and then my 12-year-old. I have a 12-year-old. He turns 13 in August. So God willing, we're making a bar mitzvah very soon. Okay. So let's get started. Today's topic, it's a lunch break webinar. Usually I'm giving evening classes. So today's topic is unmasking your child's hidden potential. Now, when I usually give these classes, when we talk about a child's potential, I usually talk about personality, I talk about temperament, I talk about finding your children's strengths. But today I want to do something a little bit different. I want to take this in a different direction, and I really want to talk about the attributes and characteristics and the midot that we need to help our children develop in order for them to reach their potential. So, and it's really something that everybody needs, that every person needs, even adults, and certainly children, to help them reach their potential. And I don't really want to talk about helping children develop leadership qualities, even though the things that we're going to talk about today are things that we're going to see our Jewish leaders have, because not every child is supposed to be a leader. There are also supposed to be some followers as well. But these are basic attributes and qualities, I'm going to get to them in a minute, that really help our kids grow and really reach their potential. Okay, so just recently, I was learning with a woman. I learn once a month through a program called Partners in Torah. I'm sure you've heard about it. So I'm learning Lech Lecha with a wonderful woman, and we're learning about Abraham. And she said, well, do you think that Abraham really had to work on himself and really recognize his strengths and sort of work hard to develop into Abraham, into the great man that he is, or was he just Abraham? Did he just become Abraham? And so I said, well, I don't really know what the Jewish answer to this, but personally, I think, you need to sort of recognize your strengths, and you need to work hard to develop your potential and reach your potential. But I think if you recognize your strengths, then it's a little bit easier, and sort of having that clarity of who you are and what you're good at is always helpful. But again, there's also these characteristics that just make you into sort of a match, just give you the strength of character. And that's what I want to talk about today. And I really want to talk about how we see these attributes in our Jewish leaders, particularly Mordechai and Esther, because Purim is coming up, one of my favorite holidays. And then we're also going to talk about Yehuda. David as well, but Yehuda and Yehuda's descendants, because we all know that Yehuda is really the quintessential Jewish leader. He's the one who received Malchut, kingship. So we're going to look at those attributes that Esther and Mordecai and Yehuda embody and work from there. Okay, fine. So if I would ask you, what are some characteristics that our Jewish leaders embody? I think you would say, I think there is a chat box up here, but let me see if I could. Oh, I do want to also say that there should be a handout for you that you're able to download. It should be underneath the video. Okay, I'm just trying to look here. Okay. All right, I'm not getting that chat box here. So, so I'll just tell you, instead of you telling me. So some of the attributes that I think a Jewish leader embodies. So it would be selflessness, a love of people, love of particularly the Jewish people. I think about, we're not really going to talk about Moshe today, but just a few parshiot ago, where we saw that the Jewish people were, the parsha of the Chet HaEgel, right? And but even the previous parshiot, where the Jewish people are just complaining about the water and about their food, and they're constantly complaining to Moshe. And then after Chet HaEgel, after the sin of the golden calf, Hashem says to Moshe, you know what? I'm going to destroy these people, and I'm going to make a new nation that comes from you. And Moshe, you would think, I mean, these Bnei Israel have been complaining and being so difficult up until this point. You would have said you would have thought that Moshe would have been like, you know what, that's really a good idea. Let's move on. Let's have a new nation from me. But he didn't. He had a beautiful, impassioned prayer, and he davens to Hashem to ask that Bnei Israel be spared. And that's like true selflessness. That's true love of the Jewish people. Okay? So those are some attributes that I think define a Jewish leader. And also this ability to show self-control, and we're going to develop this more, this ability to keep calm and stay calm among the chaos, and also this ability to really listen to your inner conscience, to really listen to your Yetzer HaTov, to do the right thing, even though people around you might not be doing the right thing. Okay? So those are really the attributes that I want to look at today. So like this selflessness, the love of Jewish people, this ability to show self-control, and I'm going to explain that in a minute, and the ability to keep calm amid the chaos, when there's chaos all around you, and also this ability to really look at your inner conscience and do the right thing, okay? And I should say that we're going to also talk about how we can teach this to our children. All right, so when we talk about self-control and we talk about keeping calm amid the chaos, I listened to a great class by Elishevi Levy on YU Torah, and she says that Yehuda really embodies this, like this keeping calm and having self-control, and his descendants also embodied this characteristic. So she said that when Yosef accused Binyamin of stealing his golden cup, his goblet, right, and there's chaos, and the brothers are in shock, and nobody knows what to do, and Binyamin is going to be taken for a slave, he's going to be thrown in jail, and there's chaos all around, but Yehuda is able to keep calm, stay in control, and he approaches Yosef in a very fine and dignified manner, and we all know the rest of that story. And she also says that Nachshon ben Aminadav at the splitting of the Red Sea also showed this attribute of staying calm amid the chaos, right? So at the Yam Suf, at the Red Sea, there was the Egyptians behind Bnei Israel, behind the Jews, and there's the sea in front of them, and the Jews are crying out, and nobody knows what to do. And Nachshon ben Aminadav, he just walks straight into the sea. He keeps a cool head. He keeps calm amid the chaos. And she says we also see this with David HaMelech. Okay, so David HaMelech, when Shaul's army is going against the Plishtim, and Goliath is standing. Well, the Shaul's army is on one mountain, and the Plishtim with Goliath is on the other mountain, and Goliath is taunting Shaul's army. Right? David shows up. You know, it's Shaul's army's in chaos. Everybody's scared. David shows up. He keeps a calm head, a calm, cool head amid all the chaos, right? And he says, I'm going to take care of this. And he takes his slingshot and he kills Goliath with a little rock to the head, right? So again, this ability to stay calm amid the chaos. Okay, so and the last attribute that we're really going to talk about is really being able to listen to your inner conscience. And I think that Esther really shows this. And I do want to say that like this self-control and keeping calm and being able to listen to your inner conscience, they're all interconnected. And we're going to see as we develop these ideas throughout the class. Okay, so the other day, my husband and I, we had a wedding in Baltimore, so we were in the car together and we were discussing Megillat Esther, and I said, he said to me, oh, you know, it really bothers me the point in the Megillah where Mordechai comes to Esther and he says, you know, the Jewish people are going to be killed. You need to go talk to the king. You need to save the Jewish people. And Esther doesn't say, sure, no problem. You know, I'll go see the king. She says, well, you know that if you just go to the king without being summoned, that you're going to be killed. And I haven't been summoned to the king in 30 days. So he said that always bothered him, that she didn't have that Naaseh v'nishma moment, that she didn't just say, oh, yes, I'm going to do it. And I said that that is my favorite part of the Megillah because it shows that Esther was human, showed that she has that biological instinct to sort of, that self-preservation, that instinct to survive, right? That fear to go to the king, you know, that she was going to be killed. But the fact that she overcame that fear, that's what's amazing. That's what makes her into a hero. So whenever I think, I wrote an article about this actually, but whenever I think about Esther and what she did, I think about this children's book that we have. It's called Franklin's Goes to the Hospital. So now, every one of my kids has had a procedure, some sort of hospital procedure. Thank God they've all been very minor. So we always have read this book. Somebody recommended it, Franklin Goes to the Hospital. So it's a very cute book, and it's about Franklin. He's a turtle, and he hurt his shell while he was playing soccer. And he had to go to the hospital to get it fixed, okay? So before he leaves to the hospital, his friends come to visit him, and they keep on saying, you're so brave, Franklin, you're so brave, okay? And Franklin's not feeling so brave, but he doesn't want to say anything. And then he goes to the hospital, and, you know, he's getting ready for his surgery. He's in pre-op, and the nurse says to him, you know, Franklin, I just want to take, we just need to take an x-ray. And Franklin starts to cry. And the nurse says, what's wrong? He said, well, everybody keeps on saying I'm so brave, but if you take a picture of my insides, you're going to see that I'm really scared. So I always like start to like tear up when I read this. But yeah, so it's so cute that he says that he's scared and that you're going to be able to see my insides. And so the nurse says to him, Franklin, everybody's scared, but it's doing what you need to do even though you're scared that makes you brave. Okay, and I thought that's a great thing to teach our kids, right? Being brave means doing what you need to do even though you're scared. Not that you're not scared. So it's the same thing with Esther. Esther did the right thing even though she was scared. So, and that's what makes her brave. That's what makes her great. And I think what it's interesting to see how Mordechai really encourages her to go to the king, okay? And he says, he doesn't say to her, you know what, if you don't go to the king, I'm never talking to you again, okay? Like, you know, being very accusatory. He says, Oni yodea im le'et kazot higat lemalchut. You know, it could be, who knows, if at a time like this, if you will attain the kingdom. Like if this is your time to really develop and reach your potential. Like this is the reason why you were put in this place at this time, okay? It's time for you to unmask your hidden potential here. So it's a very, I think we all feel that it's a very powerful moment in the Haggadah, and Esther is able to look inside herself, look inside her Yetzer HaTov, and really look at her inner conscience and do the right thing. And this, again, is what we want to teach to our children. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, how we can do that. Really teaching our kids to look at their inner conscience, their moral compass, and be able to do the right thing even when you're not there. Okay, fine. So let's talk a little bit more about this concept of self-control. Some of the idea in the Jewish literature. So there's a famous Pirkei Avot that I'm sure everybody's heard about, and it's Ezehu Gibor HaKovesh et Yitzro. Okay, so who is, you have it on your sheet here. So who is strong? I'm sorry. Ezehu Gibor HaKovesh et Yitzro Shnei Amar Tov Erech Apayim Migiboro Moshel Barucho Milkod Ir. Okay, so who is strong? He who conquers his evil inclination, as it is said, better is one slow to anger than a strong man, and one who rules over his spirit than a conqueror of a city. Okay, so, right, this ability to stop and think about what you're doing, okay? This ability to keep a cool head even though around you everything is chaos. This ability to really look inside yourself for what the right thing to do. So this takes a tremendous amount of control. Okay, it also helps you work with others and listen to others. This ability not to just, when somebody says something to you, to react impulsively. And Stephen Covey, the author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he calls it the pause button between the stimulus and response. Okay, so people who are able to think and stop and think before responding in any situation, they're just much better off. They're more successful in life, okay? So we don't want to act quickly and instinctively and impulsively. We really want to stop ourselves and think, you know, is this wrong or right what I'm doing? Is this wrong or right what I'm saying? What is the best way to handle this situation? What could I do to make this situation better? And again, it takes amazing strength to be able to do that, to stop ourselves from reacting impulsively. Okay, so that's a little bit about what we're going, that's this concept of self-control and how important it is that we need to be able to teach this to our children. Okay, also, I'm not sure if anybody heard about the marshmallow experiment, but that also was an experiment to see if children were able to delay gratification or if they had good self-control. So what they did is that children were placed in a small room with a marshmallow in front of them, and they were told that they could either eat it now, but if they held out for another 15 minutes until the researcher returns, then they would get a second marshmallow, okay, when the researcher came back, right? And so there were some kids who ate it right away, some who were able to wait for a few minutes, and some who were able to really wait the 15 minutes. And when they did follow-up studies about the kids who were able to wait, they found that these children were less likely to have problems with their behavior, less problems with drug addiction, obesity, and they also scored higher on their SATs. So kids who have more self-control are really, they're going to be more successful in life. They'll behave better. They'll have less problems, just all around. So that's why it's so important for us to teach this to our kids. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to say before why we're talking about Yehuda and Esther together, and then I promised you we're going to get to the ways that we could teach this to our kids. So the reason in Rabbi Foreman's book, The Queen You Thought You Knew, he connects the Esther and Mordecai story, Esther and Mordecai story with Yehuda. And basically, he said that that Esther and Mordecai were really returning the favor to Yehuda because Yehuda saved Binyamin, right? And Esther and Mordecai were from the tribe of Binyamin, right? So he saved Binyamin, and now Esther and Mordecai are saving the Yehudim. That's how the Jewish people are referred to. It's the first time that they're referred to as Yehudim in Megillat Esther, and so they were returning the favor because Yehuda saved Binyamin, their forefathers, and they are going to save the Yehudim, so the descendants of Yehuda. Okay, sorry, I forgot about that point. Okay, now we're going to get to the practical part of the class, okay? So we're going to talk about how do we teach our kids self-control, that pause button between the stimulus and response that Stephen Covey talks about, to really listen to their inner voice, to make sure that they're doing the right thing when you're not around, and the ability to keep calm. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at Martin Seligman's his pen prevention program. So Martin Seligman, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he is the father of positive psychology, and he developed techniques to help adults to combat depression and anxiety through the use of positive psychology. And he also found that more children were suffering from depression, and so he created a program to help prevent depression in children. I think also anxiety in children. So we're going to take some of the concepts from his program and talk about them today and how we can teach this to our children. The book that I took this information from is called The Optimistic Child by Martin Seligman, and I thought that was appropriate. The Optimistic Child, you know, it's Purim, Mishanechnas Adar, Marbin B'Simcha. We want to talk about optimism. We want to talk about Simcha, right? And we want to talk about preventing depression because this is supposed to be a very happy time. Okay, so in Martin Seligman's pen prevention program, he talks about how we need to role model these concepts to kids. So I should say also, preventing depression. Part of the program is really teaching kids this self-control, teaching kids to stop and think before they respond to the situations that they may have, and also to keep calm. So those are all good things to help kids combat depression, and also being able to listen to their inner conscience and do the right thing. Okay, so again, it's all connected, and it's used to prevent depression in children. So again, that's another reason why it's so important for us to teach this to our kids. Okay, so number one, role modeling. So we want to talk out loud. So anytime we are exhibiting self-control, we want to let our kids know about it. So let's say we're angry. So we could say, you know what? Okay, I'm going to count to 10 because I'm so mad and I don't want to say what I'm going to say, so I'm going to count to 10. I'm going to count to 10 backwards, whatever it is. Or you could say, okay, I'm really angry. I'm going to go to my room to calm down. I just need a couple of minutes to calm down because I might say something that I'm not going to like. Okay? You know, also just talking about doing the right thing. Okay? So, for example, you could say, you know what? I'm looking now and I'm seeing that this clothing store, they did not charge me for this shirt. So I really don't feel like calling them. It was their mistake. I don't really have to call them, right? But you know what, really the right thing, I really should call them and tell them that they didn't charge it for me, and I really should go in tomorrow and pay them the extra money, right? Like, talk out loud about this, and talk about, it's hard, it's a pain in the neck to call them, to go back to the store, right? But still, you're going to do it. You're going to do the right thing. And when you actually do the right thing, you can say, oh, I went today to give them the money for that shirt that they didn't charge me for, okay? So that's very simple role modeling. Okay, now the next thing that we can do is to teach kids to slow down and to teach them that people have hot thoughts and people have cool thoughts, okay? So children really need help. Even adults need help in this. So in curbing really our impulses, okay? So kids are generally pretty impulsive, and they need to learn to stop and think before reacting, okay? So we could teach them, again, this difference between hot thoughts and cool thoughts. So hot thoughts are those automatic responses. Like when you have a problem, you immediately think a hot thought, okay? So for example, he calls them people are out to get me thoughts, okay? That we think that our problems are usually a result of someone else's deliberate intention to harm us, okay? So a lot of times this happens in families. So parents will often hear fights between siblings like, oh my gosh, I spilled the juice on you by accident. I didn't do it on purpose. And then the other child say, yes, you did. You did it on purpose. So that's the hot thought, is that you did this on purpose. You spilled the juice on me on purpose, okay? Another example, if somebody bumps into you, a hot thought would be, you know, this is dangerous. Someone intentionally wants to hurt me. So we need to teach kids, also need to teach ourselves, I always think this, that that we really don't, we shouldn't react to the hot thoughts that we have. We're really doing a disservice to ourselves and others if we do react to our hot thoughts, and we really, it makes problems worse when we react to the hot thoughts. And instead, we really need to replace them with cool thoughts. Like, well, Seligman says that cool thoughts help us slow down and think rather than speed up and act, okay? And so cool thoughts are, he didn't do it on purpose, he must not have meant to have done that, okay? So things like that. Now, so what Seligman did is, in order to teach these principles to children, he had his mental health professionals go into schools and teach it, but he also found that parents were able to teach these concepts to their children. So I always am very hesitant when I hear that, because I know that whenever I go to my kids to teach them something like this, like a cool thing that I learned, like hot thoughts and cool thoughts, they're always like, oh, Ma, are you talking to us like this because you teach parenting classes? Is this because you're a parenting educator? Why do we have to listen to this? Like, they're so, like, if it's anything remotely corny, like the corniness factor is always an issue. So I always like to teach parents indirect way to teach kids these concepts. So just because it doesn't work, if it works, if you have that relationship with your kid where you can really teach them these things directly, then go ahead. So there's some, basically Martin Seligman says, sit down with your kids and just talk about situations that have happened, and or give them a situation. Like he says here, Tony's playing dodgeball at recess and someone throws a ball and hits him real hard in the face. He thinks, A, what happened? Was that an accident, or he's trying to start something? Or B, he did that on purpose, I'm gonna get him. He's gonna wish he never messed with me, right? So, and then the child and the adult need to say, is that a hot thought or a cool thought or whatever it is. So, but I found that that's sort of hard to do with my kids. So instead, I like the parallel story, okay? So with younger kids, you could tell them a story, and my daughter helped me. That's another way that I get to teach my children these concepts. I have them help me with their classes. Okay, so we made this up together. There once was a boy named Benny. He was in 2nd grade. After his first period, he went out to recess. When the recess bell rang, as soon as he went outside. As soon as he got outside, he realized he forgot his snack. He went back in to get his snack, and when he walked into the classroom, he saw his friend Avi standing right near his backpack. And when he went to his desk and he asked Avi to move over so he could get a snack, what Avi did, and then Benny opened his backpack and saw that his snack was what was not there. Okay, so then you could tell this story and you could say, what would Benny's hot thought be? Like, what does it look like? It really looks like Avi took his snack. So he could have thought, his hot thought would be, oh my gosh, he took my snack. What could be a cool thought? You know what? A cool thought would be, let me check again. Maybe I didn't see it, or I put it in a different pocket. Okay, so through stories, it's, again, a very indirect way to teach kids about this. And also another indirect way that we could teach cool thoughts and hot thoughts is through this role modeling that we just spoke about. Okay, so for example, if a child says, you could say to your child, you know what, I thought you didn't get out of bed this morning because you weren't listening to me, okay, because you didn't want to go to school. That was my hot thought. That was my immediate hot thought. But then I said, maybe I should have a cool thought here. Maybe I should really see, like, he usually gets out of bed on time, so maybe I should go check on him. And I'm glad that I checked on you. I'm glad I listened to my cool thought and went to go check on you, and I saw that you really weren't feeling well, and that's why you weren't getting out of bed. Okay, so we could use this role modeling to teach this concept of hot thoughts and cool thoughts, or the parallel story for younger kids. Okay, now another thing is perspective taking. Seligman talks about perspective taking, which is such a Jewish concept. It's dan l'kaf zchut, put yourself in another person's shoes. And this really helps us manage our problems that involve others. Okay, if we could see another person's perspective, it's so important. So how can we teach this to kids? So oftentimes, when a child does something wrong to another child, we'll say, well, how would you like it if someone made fun of you because you couldn't sing, or you have braces, right? How would you like it if somebody would tease you, or how would you like it if someone hit you? Okay, so this puts children on the defensive. They can't hear their inner voice. I just actually was observing a few weeks ago in a preschool, and a child had ripped another child's project, and the mother said to him, how would you like it if somebody would ruin your project? And the child said, I would like it. I would like it a lot, right? So that makes parents so angry, but really that's their defense mechanism. They really don't like it, but they're trying to defend themselves. They can't think what the right thing to do is, okay? So instead, to help them see another's perspective, we could just change a few words around in this sentence. This is from Faber and Maisler's How to Talk So Kids Will Listen. And you could say something like, I'm sure you could imagine how painful it could be to be made fun of. Okay, I'm sure you could imagine how hurtful it is to be hit. Okay, so there they don't have to answer you, and you're sort of really, like, you're letting them know that you think that they're a good person because you're sure that they could imagine how it would feel. Okay, so it really is able to, in a very gentle way, teach them to see another person's perspective. Now also, just even if you're watching videos with kids, you want to talk about the motivations of the characters, like, why is Sarah mad? Why did Max do that to her? What's the misunderstanding there? Like, because really you're able to see different perspectives when you're watching videos, which is a kind of nice thing about that. Okay, so that's really perspective taking. So, again, that teaches us sort of self-control to, like, stop and think about what another person is feeling. It also helps us keep calm, and also it helps us really, like, look inside ourselves to see what the right thing is, because we're not spending time defending ourselves. Okay, so another thing that we could do to teach these attributes, again, of self-control, of keeping calm, of looking at helping children look at their inner conscience, we can ask questions instead of punishing. Okay, so on your sheet, I have a quote from How to Talk So Kids Will Listen about punishment. Okay, so Dr. Ginat said that the problem with punishment was that it didn't work. that it was a distraction, that instead of a child feeling sorry for what he had done and thinking about how he can make amends, he becomes preoccupied with revenge fantasies. In other words, by punishing a child, we actually deprive him of the very important inner process of facing his own misbehavior. So this is very important. And we go back, what we mentioned that Mordechai did, he just said, this is the time, that this is the reason, this could be the reason why you were chosen to be the queen. This is your time. This is the time for you to meet your potential. He was encouraging her to focus on her potential. He wasn't punish her. He didn't say, well, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. You're going to your room. He really was encouraging and really helped her look inside herself and look at her and really look at her Yetzer HaTov and her inner conscience and her own moral compass and do the right thing. Okay, and this is so important, and we really want to teach this to our kids. So some examples, let's say your young child hits another child. Like instead of saying you're such a bad boy, you need to go into timeout, you want to say, what could you do to make Eli feel better? Look at him, he's so sad, you hit him, right? Could we get some ice? Could we get him another toy? Help them think what they could do to make the situation right, to make amends. A child who gets a bad grade, we'll say to them, that's it, you're spending an hour every night doing homework, no friends, no no nothing, like no videos, right? Instead, we want to ask them questions to help them do the right thing, to make things right, okay? You could say things like, I see that you're having problems with your schoolwork. Do you know where you're getting stuck? Okay, do you know where you're having problems? What do you think you need to do to help you get your grades up? Okay, asking these questions that help them look within themselves, okay? Help them hear that inner conscience. We don't want to drown out that inner conscience that we have. Even a teen who comes in after curfew, we don't want to punish. You're grounded. We want to say, how can we make sure that this doesn't happen again? Turn their focus inward. How can you make sure that it's not going to happen? How can we make sure that you're going to be on time? This is more helpful, okay? You're also really modeling being calm. Like in a situation where a teen comes in after curfew, you're not really so calm usually, but if you use those questions, you're modeling calmness, keeping calm amid the chaos. Okay. So I see we're really running out of time here, but just quickly, so the last thing that we can do to really reinforce these attributes of self-control, of keeping calm, of doing the right thing is to really give positive reinforcement. And this is so important. This is really from the Nurtured Heart approach, which is an approach used to help kids with ADD, with poor impulse control, with oppositional defiant disorder. It's finding the things that they're actually doing and praising them for it. So for example, if you see that your child showed self-control, okay, so you see they're about to hit their sibling and you say, you raised your hand to hit your sibling, but you saw me and you stopped, that's called self-control, okay? Even though they were gonna hit them, if they saw you and they stopped, that's self-control. That was hitting the pause button before he responded to the stimulus, which was his sibling, okay? Doing the right thing. You could say, you hit Ellie, but then you made nice, you knew how to make it better. I asked you to set the table, you complained, but in the end, you listened to me, you did the right thing, okay? And even staying calm, you could say you were really upset that we couldn't go for pizza like we planned, but you stayed calm and asked me if we could go tomorrow. So positively reinforcing these attributes that you see in kids. Okay, so we're going to wrap up. So just quickly, we spoke about how to unmask our child's hidden potential by teaching them, learning how to teach them self-control, how to stay calm, and how to really do the right thing, which are all attributes and characteristics and midot that anyone needs and that children need in order to be successful in life and to really meet their potential. Okay, thank you so much. I'm giving you over to Devorah. So welcome everyone to our lunch break webinar. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you. I just want to thank the OU, particularly Hannah Farkas for putting this all together, and for Alex Cook for handling all the technical stuff and all my questions about how am I going to get on and everything like that. So thank you. I also want to thank Deborah Katz from chalacrumbs.com. I'm so excited to be working with her again. So even though we barely have spoken into each other, but it's always great to be working with her, and you have to check out her well, she's going to be on right after me. You're going to have to check out her fabulous website, chalacrumbs.com. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Adina Soclof, and I'm the Director of Parent Outreach for A+ Solutions, which is a psychological and educational company in Cleveland, Ohio, making a bar mitzvah very soon. Okay, so let's get started. Today's topic, it's a lunch break webinar. Usually I'm giving evening classes. So today's topic is unmasking your child's hidden potential. Now, when I usually give these classes, when we talk about a child's potential, I usually talk about personality, I talk about temperament, I talk about finding your children's strengths. But today I want to do something a little bit different. I want to take this in a different direction, and I really want to talk about the attributes and characteristics and the midot that we need to help our children develop in order for them to reach their potential. So, and it's really something that everybody, and we're learning about Abraham, and she said, well, do you think that Abraham really had to work on himself and really recognize his strengths and sort of work hard to develop into Abraham, into the great man that he is, or was he just Abraham? Did he just become Abraham? And so I said, well, I don't really know what the Jewish answer to this, but personally, I think, you need to sort of recognize your strengths, and you need to work hard to develop your potential and reach your potential. But I think if you recognize your strengths, then it's a little bit easier, and sort of having that clarity of who you are and what you're good at is always helpful. But again, there's also these characteristics that just make you into sort of a match, just give you the strength of character. And that's what I want to talk about today. And I really want to talk about Ohio, where I live. I also run parentingsimply.com, which is a great website that has a lot of parenting tips and great advice. And I'm also run simplyjewishparenting.com and the A+ Solutions website as well. Okay. Oh, I also run lots of webinars and parenting workshops, and there's a lot going on in my professional life. Personally, I'm married and I have 4 kids. So I have 3 kids who are turning. I have 3 April birthdays. So 3 of my children are turning 18, 16, and then 11, and then my 12-year-old. I have a 12-year-old. He turns 13 in August, so God willing. We're having needs that every person needs, even adults, and certainly children, to help them reach their potential. And I don't really want to talk about helping children develop leadership qualities, even though the things that we're going to talk about today are things that we're going to see our Jewish leaders have, because not every child is supposed to be a leader. There are also supposed to be some followers as well. But these are basic attributes and qualities, I'm going to get to them in a minute, that really help our kids grow and really reach their potential. Okay, so just recently, I was learning with a woman. I learn once a month through a program called Partners in Torah. I'm sure you've heard about it. So I'm learning Lech Lecha with a wonderful woman.